Surcouf, the cruiser of the depths. Built in 1929, it was an experiment in intimidation. Before nuclear power, this was the monster. 3,300 tons of surface displacement. It carries two massive 8-inch naval guns, the same size you find on a heavy cruiser. It also carries a seaplane in a waterproof hangar. It is a submarine that thinks it is a battleship, but the design is flawed. It takes minutes to prepare the guns. The turret leaks. It is slow to dive and clumsy to steer. It rolls in the waves like a sick whale. It has terrified the British with its potential, but it has vanished mysteriously in 1942, lost with all hands in the Caribbean, probably rammed by a merchant ship. A tragic end for a giant. It has held the record for largest submarine for decades, until the Japanese decided to put an airport underwater. I-400 Sentoku, the underwater airport. Japan didn't just want a torpedo boat. They wanted a strategic bomber. Commissioned in 1944, it dwarfs everything else in World War II. 6,600 tons of submerged displacement, twice the size of any American submarine. It features a massive, watertight hangar on the deck. Inside, 3 Aichi M6A Seidan bombers. Their wings fold like origami. It surfaces. It assembles the planes. It launches them via a compressed air catapult. The plan was insane: to bomb the Panama Canal and starve the US Navy. But history moved faster than the engines. Japan surrendered while the monsters were at sea. The US Navy captured them, studied them, and then sank them to hide the technology from the Soviets. It has remained the largest non-nuclear submarine ever built. It is proven that the ocean floor can be an airbase, but to go bigger, you need infinite energy. You need to split the atom. USS Triton, the radar giant. It was built for a job that doesn't exist anymore. Launched in 1958, it is the only Western submarine ever built with 2 reactors. Why 2? Because it needs speed to keep up with aircraft carriers, and power for a massive air search radar. It is 447 feet long. At the time, the longest sub in the world. It is basically a submerged destroyer, but its fame comes from a secret mission, Operation Sandblast. It circled the globe entirely underwater. 26,000 miles without surfacing once. It followed the path of Magellan, but while Magellan died, the Triton thrived. It proved that nuclear power means infinite range, but the radar mission became obsolete. Satellites took over. It has become a lonely record holder. It has demonstrated the terrifying reach of the US Navy, but the Soviets are watching, and they don't want radar. They want rockets. Big ones. Hotel and Echo classes. The radioactive rush job. The Soviets saw American nukes and panicked. They needed a missile boat immediately. The result was the Project 658, NATO codename Hotel, launched in 1960. It is basically a diesel hull with a nuclear reactor shoved inside. It carries 3 ballistic missiles, but there is a catch. To fire them, it has to surface. In a nuclear war, surfacing is suicide. Then came the Echo Class, designed to kill aircraft carriers with cruise missiles. These ships are loud. They rattle like skeletons in a tin can. Sonar operators could hear them halfway across the ocean, and they are deadly to their own crews. The K-19 Widowmaker suffered a reactor meltdown. Crew members fixed it with their bare hands and died of radiation poisoning. They have sacrificed safety for speed. They have proven that nuclear power demands respect. But while the Soviets struggled with radiation, the Americans perfected the design. They built the gold standard of the Cold War, the boomer that defined deterrence. Lafayette Class, the assembly line of the apocalypse. While the Soviets struggled with prototypes, America built a fleet. The 41 for Freedom, launched in the early 1960s. These weren't experiments, they were the standard. 7,300 tons of submerged silence. It carries 16 Polaris ballistic missiles. Unlike the Soviet Hotel class, it fires from deep underwater. Hidden, safe, lethal. The crew calls it the Boomer. It lives in the dark for months. It patrols the silence. It is the ultimate deterrent. If you see it, it failed. Because its job is to never fire. It has secured the Cold War stalemate. It has proven that quantity and quality can coexist. But the Soviets aren't sleeping. They are building a Hunchback. A submarine with a hump so big it looks broken, designed to reach America without leaving port. Delta Class, the Hunchback. It is the most recognizable silhouette in the Soviet Navy. Project 667, launched in 1972. It looks like a snake that swallowed a refrigerator. Why the hump? Because the new missiles were too tall for the hull. Liquid-fueled giants. R-29 Visota, intercontinental range. This changed the game. Before the Delta, Subs had to cross the Atlantic to hit America. Now, they can fire from the pier in Murmansk. It stays home, protected by the ice and the entire Northern Fleet. The Bastion strategy. It is ugly, but it is strategically brilliant. It forces the US Navy to come to them. It has served as the backbone of the Soviet deterrent. It has proven that range is the best armor. But while the Delta hides in the ice, another monster hunts in the open. A submarine so wide it looks like two ships welded together. The Carrier Killer. Oscar II Class. The Carrier Killer. It is not a tube. It is a floating apartment block. Project 949A Ante. 18,000 tons of surface displacement. It is massive because it has a double hull. Why so wide? To hide 24 P-700 Granite cruise missiles in its flanks. These missiles are supersonic. They talk to each other mid-flight to pick targets. Designed to overwhelm US aircraft carriers with a swarm of hate. But the world knows this class for a different reason. The Kursk. August 2000. A faulty torpedo fuel weld caused a catastrophe. It sank. 118 sailors were lost in the dark. It has reminded the world that the ocean is unforgiving. It has shown that even the strongest steel can burn underwater. But while Russia built wide, America built the ultimate silent predator, the submarine that could end civilization in 15 minutes. The Ohio Class. The Silent Apocalypse. Commissioned in 1981, it is the deadliest machine ever built by human hands. 18,750 tons of submerged diplomatic immunity. It is the largest submarine ever built by the United States. But size isn't the point. Silence is. It moves quieter than the background noise of the ocean. A black hole in the water. It carries 24 Trident II D5 ballistic missiles, the City Killers. Each missile splits into up to 8 independent warheads. Do the math. One single Ohio can target 192 separate cities in 15 minutes. It patrols for 70 days at a time. The crew lives in a steel pipe, waiting for the order they hope never comes. It has become the gold standard of deterrence. It has served as the silent guardian of the West for 40 years. It has proven that true power doesn't need to scream. But the Soviets didn't care about subtle. They wanted to break the scale. They wanted to build a swimming pool inside a submarine, literally. Typhoon-class. The Leviathan. Forget everything you've seen so far. This is Project 941 Akula. 48,000 tons of submerged displacement. Heavier than a World War II aircraft carrier. It's so wide that it doesn't just have one pressure hull, it has 5, enclosed by an outer steel skin. It was built to carry 20 R-39 ballistic missiles, missions so large they wouldn't fit in a normal submarine. But the extra space allowed for unthinkable luxuries. It had a sauna, a smoking room, even a small swimming pool for the crew. It became world famous with the hunt for Red October. But the reality was less romantic. It was too expensive, too complex. The Soviet Union failed to maintain operations. It held the title of largest submarine for 40 years. He proved that Soviet megalomania knew no bounds. Most were dismantled, but Russia didn't give up on building monsters. Recently, they launched something new. It's not as heavy as the Typhoon. It's longer, and it carries the most brutal weapon ever invented. Belgorod, the Doomsday Special. The Typhoon was the heaviest, but this is the longest. 184 meters of classified intentions. Commissioned in 2022. It started as an Oscar II hull, but it mutated. It is not a standard warship. It is a mothership. Under its belly, it carries deep-diving spy subs, designed to cut undersea internet cables and blind the world. But its main weapon is the Poseidon. They call it a torpedo. It is actually an autonomous nuclear drone the size of a school bus. It travels for thousands of miles underwater to detonate near a coastline, creating a radioactive tsunami that renders cities uninhabitable. It has rewritten the rules of nuclear deterrence. It has proven that the Cold War never really ended. From the deck guns of the Surcouf to the silence of the Ohio and the sheer madness of the Typhoon, humans have always tried to hide their biggest sticks deep in the dark, where no one can hear the countdown. See the next video. The Korean War. 1950. The Korean War, the first test of restraint. 5 years after Hiroshima, the world was burning again. If you've made it this far, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for our channel. Tell me, which of these massive submarines did you find the most impressive? Is there any specific naval vessel or class you'd like to see in future videos? Leave it in the comments! Oh, send us a super thanks to support our work and bring us more content. And consider subscribing to become a member of our channel to access many benefits.